On to the next. Of course, everyone knows about this. It was all over the media Saturday night. George Zimmerman was acquitted in the shooting death of Trayvon Martin with a not guilty verdict. I really don't know what to say about it because I wasn't shocked because I actually watched the trial.
Right.
So I wasn't shocked that it was not guilty.
Right. I think for me, like Saturday when the verdict came down, I was actually at a wedding and during the festivities, whatever. It's a joyous occasion, the whole 9 yards. People was putting it up on their phone and they saw the verdict when it came down live, and everybody was just like kind of sad and somber in the middle of a wedding. It's crazy because why? Personally, for me, I just feel bad for this dude's parents, man. This dude's family, like it's like, come on, man, like really. And we know it's a race issue.
Right.
It's 100% a race issue.
The thing is, I don't understand how they can say he's not guilty of anything. Yeah. Nothing at all.
Shit is crazy, man. We actually have a lawyer on staff. You know what I'm saying? The Condo TV team lawyer is in the building. Shout out to Robert Batillo, man. He's up in here. And we talked about it pre-show. Rob, can you explain the situation that's the right? Because before this verdict even came down weeks ago, me and Rob talked, and Rob was telling me, he said, you know what, Condo, man, he gonna get off. Tell the people, Rob, why you said that.
Well, for the most part, it was a evidentiary issue. During the trial, the prosecution is required to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the highest standard in law. That means if there's any question, any plausible question in any one juror's mind, then they can't have a conviction. In this case, the prosecution did a very poor job of presenting their case, presenting the evidence. There were many connections that were missed, a large portion of evidence that was left out, and a good amount of witness testimony that wasn't properly presented in the way that the jury could digest it. Stepping further back, even if you look at the jury selection pool, I believe that it was almost legal malpractice to allow, in a case such as this, to allow a jury of 6 white women and 1 Latino woman to be on the jury and not have a diverse jury pool. So I believe the errors by the prosecution up and down throughout the trial are what resulted in the acquittal.
Wow. So ultimately, the people that was representing Trayvon, they was terrible. Well, they sucked ass.
You have to remember, they weren't representing Trayvon. They were representing the state of Florida in the prosecution.
Well, to blacks, they was representing Trayvon.
Yes.
If you want to think of it that way,
right.
But consider the following: that in Zimmerman's legal defense fund, there was donated over $1 million to his legal defense fund by everyone from the Koch brothers to Sean Hannity to many conservative organizations. The law firm representing him with Attorney O'Meara and Attorney West devoted an entire year to the defense of George Zimmerman. The state's attorney, on the other hand, are government employees who have other cases, who only have a limited amount of time to devote to the case and a limited budget to devote to the case. Wow. So at the same time, when O'Meara and the defense were showing up with models and dummies, reenactments, charts,
they had everything.
3D animations to presenting the defense, the prosecution simply didn't have the funds, didn't have the resources. When it comes straight down to it in the criminal justice system, a lot of times money talks when it comes to defense and prosecution.
Wow. So basically, these folks had enough money to hire Pixar.
Well, everything.
Everybody. To get on 18. I mean, these folks, the same folks that did Nemo, they was on 18.
Had their team.
All right. The other team was just like, nah, we got nothing. They come
they
up
show up to the court like, what? Huh?
I got to see. That's the kind of foolishness that I'm speaking of right there, man. Come on.
If I'm not mistaken, can you talk about a little bit the march?
Yesterday I attended the Trayvon Martin rally that started in the AUC and went all the way up to the CNN Center. One of the best experiences that I've ever been a part of in my life, man. And when I tell you it was a beautiful thing, I mean, black, white, pink, purple, candy stripe, all walks of life, all kind of people came together for one cause, and it was crazy. Now, I will say this, you know, they had, when we actually got to the CNN Center, that was the last meeting spot for the rally, okay? When I get there, the first person I see is Lil Scrappy, all right? So he was going to put them Piers Naives on somebody for justice. Okay?
Stop.
He was going to put them Piers Naives for justice up in the air, and it was crazy. I mean, Scrappy was up there, Pastor Troy, former Mayor Bill Campbell. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but ultimately it was a beautiful thing, man. They actually have another rally going on. I think, when is it, Bob? About Saturday?
Well, and I'm glad you touched on that point, because one of the important things for people to realize is that with the acquittal, that we can't let that be the end of this. One thing that separates our generation, the millennials, the post generation, X generation, from some of the previous older generations who fought during the civil rights movement, we have the shortest attention spans of anyone on earth. Even after Trayvon was shot last year, and after we did all the activism, all the rallies, within 2 weeks we forgot about it. Everyone changed their profile picture back. They stopped tweeting out hashtags. Everyone forgot, and it went away as an issue. So what we're doing is I had a press conference this morning with a group of ministers and community leaders in Atlanta, the Federal Building, and we're congregating in front of the Richard B. Russell Federal Building on Spring Street, Atlanta, between the Martin Luther King Federal Building and the Russell Federal Building, to request that the United States Justice Department launch a civil rights probe into the Trayvon Martin shooting.
Yes.
The reason for this is, if you look, the suit will be based on what's called the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Act, which was signed into law by Obama in 2009. And what that act does is, if there's an indication of racial intent in any murder, then that will justify a federal civil rights charge. We believe, and I think the evidence bore out at trial, that Zimmerman's entire defense was that so many African Americans had committed so much crime in his community that he had to pursue Trayvon, and that he had to take the actions that he took. We believe that de facto points out a civil rights claim. It points out that Zimmerman had this racial animus, this racial motivation when he left his vehicle, when he followed Trayvon Martin, and when he ultimately ended up shooting him.
Right.
Because of this, we believe that Attorney General Holder at the federal level should bring federal civil rights charges against Zimmerman, and if he's unable to do so, then President Obama should reconsider Attorney General Holder's employment with his administration. This is one of those hallmark issues. This is one of those issues where you can't be on the wrong side of history. You can't play the political game on it. It has to happen. So we're doing this march, this rally, to dramatize the issue, to bring attention to it, and we want the people of our generation to still come out, participate. Don't let things distract you before Friday or before this issue is brought to the forefront. As you guys said in the first segment, Love and Hip Hop is back on. Housewives are back on. Other things are happening. Don't get distracted. We have to stay the course. And the battle is not won by the strong or the quick, but by the one who perseveres. And so that's why we want all of you to come out on Saturdays, 12 noon, Richard B. Russell Federal Building, Atlanta, Georgia. If you can't be there, send someone there. If you can't send someone, then to be in our prayers. We hope to compel the government to take action.
All right.
Well, basically what that is saying, man, get your ass up. Stop, let me put it in layman's terms. Stop bullshitting. All right? If we keep rallying, if we keep marching, if we keep doing these sorts of things, man, change will eventually happen. All right? Public service announcement